Might sing with a little more soul than you used to.
Oh, my king always has been king and always will be king.
Might come from a different background, different town, different sound, but we still got the same truth.
No means of measure can define his limitless love. That's my king.
You and I came from the same dust, and some of us are going through the same stuff. We're connected to the same blood. If you got Jesus living on the inside, and if your heart is beating with a new life, if you got love you ain't afraid to say about, if you got a firm foundation under your feet right now, then we got common ground.
See, when I was younger, all I knew was R&B and rock music and hip hop. So doing music for God, rather alone Jesus, was so foreign to me because it was not something that was in my household. Faith was not a frontward-facing thing. It wasn't until I was 14 where the trajectory of my life kind of changed from this kid that loves to sing, that wanted to do music, to, no, this is my gift. This is something that God gifted me to. So the weight of it changed. That's when I was introduced to Christian music. And then all of a sudden it became deeper than just me knowing how to sing and me wanting to sing. It made me see it in a bigger scope, that it could be something that was eternal more than something that was finite. Being a Christian artist is Jesus first and his Jesus last. And somehow he uses this crazy story we have. He uses this story of abuse that I have, the story of trauma that I have, and he uses it for his glory. I grew up with my stepfather and my mother. Pretty rough upbringing. Honestly, I was living with two parents that were healing themselves. They were trying to navigate trauma that they experienced as children. Here you have my mother, who was raised in a single-parent household. And you have my father, who was in jail most of my life. And then you have a stepfather who was raised in a single-parent household with trauma that he was bringing from his childhood. But through that, he gave me my love of music because he loved music. I wouldn't be who I am without that upbringing. It made me to who I am. So when people hear the story of abuse, even though the trauma may seem like the biggest part, it wasn't the victor. The artistry and the music that you hear from Lloyd comes from Lloyd with his relationship with Jesus. Lloyd the husband, Lloyd the father, and Lloyd the brother and friend. So those are really the pieces of my life that are the most important to me. And when you hear my songs, they come out of me speaking into those relationships and how I'm just a regular human trying to figure out this life just like everybody else. And my music is birthed out of those moments. I try to be honest. I don't talk about anything that I haven't experienced. Some songs come from being in a room with a friend or another creative. Talking about life will lead to testimonies, and that's sometimes how a song comes to life. Sometimes it's just living and you're going through something and this melody will jump in your head, or you'll get this thought and you can't get rid of it, and it kind of lives there in the back of your head until you're able to write those songs. So there's several ways of songs being birthed. St. Louis is a place of hope. If you look around the city, you see so much development happening. And I think that's the same in the creative space. We see so much development. We see artists that are working hard to just perfect their craft and also further their career. So I'm excited that I'm a part of this story that gets to pour back into the next generation, but also I'm investing into the creative economy of this city, because I realized that I didn't get here by my talent alone. There were so many people that joined me along this journey, and I still have people to this day in St. Louis that are so a part of my team, that are so a part of investing into what the Lord has blessed me with. And so I get to stand here as a testament of where I come from, but also where I'm going.
If you got Jesus living on the inside,